Time is the great equalizer. Every person on this planet, regardless of wealth, status, or circumstance, receives exactly the same 24 hours each day. The difference between those who achieve extraordinary success and those who don't often comes down to how they use a small portion of those hours. I want to talk to you today about something so simple yet so powerful that it has transformed countless lives, including my own. 1 single hour per day, consistently invested in the right activities, can completely change your life. Think about it. 1 hour represents just over 4 of your day. Yet that small percentage, when applied with purpose and consistency, creates a ripple effect that can reshape your entire future. The most successful people I've met throughout my decades of studying achievement all share this common trait. They understand the incredible value of dedicating focused time daily to their most important goals. When I first learned this principle as a young man, I was working long hours but not seeing the progress I wanted. My mentor asked me a question that changed everything. What would happen if you devoted just 1 hour each day to becoming excellent at your most valuable skill? That question led me to implement what I now call the 1 hour rule, and the results were nothing short of remarkable. The 1 hour rule isn't complicated. It simply says, dedicate 1 interrupted hour each day to activities that move you toward your most important goals. This single hour, properly invested over time, yields returns that far exceed the time commitment. It's like planting seeds that grow into mighty trees, providing fruit for decades to come. Most people never realize how powerful this principle is because they underestimate 2 things. First, the impact of small daily actions when compounded over time. And second, how much can actually be accomplished in a focused, distraction-free hour. The concept of compound interest applies not just to money, but to every area of your life, just as money grows exponentially when interest compounds. So do your skills, knowledge, relationships, and health when you invest in them consistently. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world, saying, "He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it." Let me show you how this works. If you improve just 1 each day through your 1 hour investment, in 1 year you'll be 37 times better than when you started. Not 365 better, but 37 times better because improvements compound. Each day's progress builds on the foundation of previous days. Consider this: if you read for 1 hour each day at an average pace, you'll complete about 50 books per year. In 5 years, that's 250 books. The average American reads less than 1 nonfiction book per year. By implementing this 1 hour rule, just for reading, you'll have more knowledge than 99 of people in your field in just a few years. Or imagine dedicating 1 hour daily to exercise. That's about 365 hours per year, equivalent to 15 full 24-hour days of activity. How could your health not transform with that level of consistent investment? The 1 hour rule works because of 3 key principles. Consistency beats intensity, small steps eliminate resistance, and focus amplifies results. Let me share some real examples of how this principle has transformed lives. A participant in one of my seminars, Michael, was working in middle management with no clear path to advancement. He decided to wake up 1 hour earlier each day to study leadership and strategic thinking. Within 2 years, he had received 2 promotions and increased his income by 60%. The knowledge he gained in those morning hours gave him insights and capabilities that separated him from his peers. Sarah, a single mother working full-time, wanted to start a side business but couldn't find large blocks of time. She implemented the 1 hour rule in the evenings after her children went to bed. In just 18 months, her side business generated enough income for her to quit her job and gain the flexibility she desperately wanted for her family. Robert, an overweight executive with concerning health markers, couldn't find time for extensive workout routines. He began walking briskly for 1 hour each day while listening to audiobooks. Within a year, he had lost 37 pounds, normalized his blood pressure, and expanded his knowledge base significantly. These stories aren't exceptional. They're typical of what happens when people apply this principle with consistency. The results seem magical, but they're simply the product of focused effort applied daily over time. Have you now? Where should you invest your precious hour? I found 5 key areas that yield the greatest returns for most people. First, personal growth. This includes reading, listening to educational content, journaling, meditation, or any activity that expands your mind and character. Personal growth is the foundation upon which all other success is built. As Jim Rohn wisely said, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. When you grow as a person, everything else in your life improves. Second, skill development. Identify the 1 or 2 skills that could most dramatically impact your career or business success. Perhaps it's public speaking, writing, negotiation, coding, or design. Whatever your key skill, 1 hour daily practice will quickly separate you from competitors. Remember, in today's economy, your income largely reflects the value you bring to the marketplace, which directly correlates with your skill level. Third, physical health. Your body is the vehicle that carries you through life. 1 hour of physical activity whether walking, strength training, yoga, or sports. Pays dividends in energy, mental clarity, emotional stability, and longevity. Many successful people I know count their fitness hour as non-negotiable because they recognize that peak physical condition enables peak performance in all other. Fourth, relationships. Strong connections with family, friends, and professional contacts create both fulfillment and opportunity. 1 hour deliberately invested in meaningful conversation, helping others, or expanding your network creates a support system that can carry you through challenges and multiply your opportunities. Fifth, career advancement. This might involve strategic planning, creating systems to increase productivity or working on high-value projects that showcase your abilities. One focused hour on advancing your career trajectory can be worth more than many hours of routine work. The beauty of the 1 hour rule is its flexibility. You might dedicate your hour to different areas on different days or focus intensely on one area for several months before shifting focus. The key is consistent, purposeful investment. Now, how do you implement this system effectively? Start by identifying your highest value activities, those that will produce the greatest long-term benefits. Then schedule your hour as an unbreakable appointment with yourself. For most people, early morning works best, before the day's demands begin competing for your attention. Create an environment that eliminates distractions. Turn off notifications, find a quiet space, and gather any materials you need beforehand. Remember, this is about focused, high-quality time, not merely clocking minutes. Begin each session with clear intentions. What specifically will you accomplish? How does today's hour connect to your larger goals? End each session by acknowledging your progress and setting clear intentions for tomorrow's hour. Track your investment of hours. Create a simple calendar or journal where you mark each completed hour. This creates accountability and provides visual proof of your consistency. After 30 days of successfully implementing your 1 hour rule, take time to assess your progress and refine your approach. Let me address the obstacles you'll inevitably face because they will come. The first is the misconception that 1 hour isn't enough to make meaningful progress. This thinking causes many people to never start. Remember, excellence is built through consistent small steps, not occasional heroic efforts. The second obstacle is finding the time. We all have busy lives, but consider this. The average American watches over 3 hours of television daily and spends 2 hours on social media. The time exists. It's simply a matter of priorities. You might need to wake up earlier, use part of your lunch break, or reduce entertainment time. As I often say, you can make excuses or make progress, but you can't make both. The third obstacle is maintaining motivation. Initially, excitement carries you forward, but eventually that fades. This is where discipline takes over. Create accountability through a partner or coach. Remind yourself daily of why your goal matters. Visualize the end result you're working toward, and celebrate small wins along the way to maintain momentum. The fourth obstacle is inconsistency. Missing occasional days is inevitable, but don't let one missed day become two. If you miss a day, simply resume the next day without self-judgment. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means quickly returning to your commitment after interruptions. Perhaps the biggest challenge is overcoming the resistance that arises whenever we attempt something important. Stephen Pressfield calls this the resistance in his excellent book, The War of Art. This internal force creates procrastination, self-doubt, and distraction. The 1 hour rule helps overcome resistance because the time commitment is small enough to be manageable yet substantial enough to create momentum. Speaking of momentum, this is where the real magic happens. After several weeks of implementing your 1 hour rule, something shifts. What started as discipline becomes habit. What felt like sacrifice becomes normal, and results begin to compound. Think of a locomotive starting from a standstill. Initially, it requires enormous energy to move even slightly, but once it builds momentum, it becomes nearly unstoppable. Your 1 hour practice works the same way. The beginning requires the most effort, but once momentum builds, your progress accelerates dramatically. This momentum creates what psychologists call a success spiral. Small wins lead to increased confidence, which fuels greater action, leading to bigger wins. Before long, you're operating at a level that would have seemed impossible when you began. Another benefit of the 1 hour rule is how it transforms your self-image. When you consistently honor commitments to yourself, you begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone capable of achievement. This evolved self-image naturally leads to higher goals and expectation. How do you measure progress with your 1 hour investment? First, track the process itself. How many days you've successfully implemented your hour. Consistency is your first victory. Second, create objective measurements relevant to your specific goal. If you're building a business, track revenue growth. If you're improving health, monitor key metrics like weight, energy levels, or performance. If you're learning a skill, find ways to test your increasing capability. Third, periodically conduct a thorough review. Every 90 days, assess what's working, what isn't, and how you might adjust your approach. Be honest about results while remaining patient with the process. Remember that meaningful changes often follow a curved rather than linear path, with progress happening in bursts after periods of apparent plateau. Fourth, seek external feedback. Sometimes others notice our growth before we do. A mentor, colleague, or friend might recognize improvements in your communication, confidence, or capability that you haven't fully appreciated. Biomeasurement is perhaps the most important. How has your 1-hour investment affected your overall quality of life? Do you have more energy, better relationships, greater satisfaction, increased opportunity? These holistic measures often reveal benefits extending far beyond your specific goal area. Now let's talk about the profound life transformation that occurs when you implement this principle consistently over extended periods. I've followed the careers of thousands who have applied this approach, and the long-term results are nothing short of extraordinary. After 1 year of daily investment, most people see significant improvements. Their skills have advanced, their knowledge has expanded, and they've begun to stand out among peers. But the really dramatic changes become apparent after 3 to 5 years. By year 3, many have completely transformed their professional trajectory. They've often advanced to leadership positions, started successful businesses, or become recognized experts in their field. The compound effect of over 1,000 hours of focused investment creates expertise that's increasingly rare and valuable in today's distracted world. By year 5, they typically operate in a different league entirely. Many have multiplied their income several times over. Some have written books, built thriving businesses, or achieved levels of health and vitality that seemed unattainable before. Most importantly, they've developed a level of self-mastery and confidence that permeates everything they do. These transformations don't require exceptional talent or favorable circumstances. They simply require the wisdom to invest in yourself consistently and the patience to allow compound growth to work its magic. 5 years will pass whether you implement the 1-hour rule or not. The question is, where will you be 5 years from now if you make this small daily investment compared to where you'll be if you don't? The beauty of this approach is that it works regardless of your starting point. I've seen it transform the lives of young people just beginning their careers and experienced professionals who felt stuck in a plateau. I've watched it work for those with abundant resources and those starting with nothing but determination. The 1-hour rule creates what I call success insurance. In a rapidly changing world where industries transform overnight and economic conditions fluctuate wildly, your consistent investment in yourself provides security that no external circumstance can take away. Let me give you a practical daily action plan to begin implementing this principle immediately. First, identify your primary growth area, the one domain where improvement would most dramatically impact your life. This becomes your initial 1-hour focus. Second, determine your optimal time. For most, early morning works best, but choose what fits your natural rhythms and schedule. The key is consistency, not specific timing. Third, create your environment. Prepare your space, gather resources, and eliminate potential distractions before they rise. Make your 1 hour as frictionless as possible. Fourth, establish your minimum viable action. On days when motivation is low, what's the smallest action that keeps your commitment intact? Perhaps it's reading just 10 pages, writing just 1 paragraph, or walking just 15 minutes. Having this minimum threshold ensures continuity even when circumstances aren't ideal. Fifth, build an accountability. Tell someone about your commitment. Track your progress visibly. Consider finding a partner with similar goals who can provide mutual support and accountability. Sixth, plan your first week in detail. Specifically, what will you do in each hour? How will you measure success? What obstacles might arise and how will you handle them? This level of planning dramatically increases follow-through. Finally, create a compelling vision of what your life will look like after 1 year of consistent investment. Make this vision detailed and emotional. Review it daily, especially when motivation wanes. Remember that starting is often the hardest part. The first week requires the most discipline. By week 2, it gets easier. By week 4, you've established the beginnings of a habit. By week 12, your 1 hour has likely become a non-negotiable part of your identity. As we conclude, I want to share something personal. Many years ago, when I was struggling financially and professionally, I made a decision that changed everything. I committed to reading, studying, and learning for 1 hour each day. At the time, I couldn't see how this small commitment would transform my circumstances. I simply knew I needed to grow. That decision, that 1 hour daily, created a foundation for everything that followed. It led to opportunities I couldn't have imagined, introduced me to mentors who shaped my thinking and developed capabilities I didn't know I possessed. I've since witnessed this same transformation in countless lives across different countries, cultures, and circumstances. The principle works universally because it aligns with fundamental laws of human development and achievement. The question now lies with you. Will you make this commitment to yourself? Will you claim this 1 hour that can change everything? Will you begin the process that, properly applied, virtually guarantees your long-term success? The hour will pass whether you use it purposefully or not. The days and weeks and years will continue their steady march. The only question is whether each passing day brings you closer to the life you truly want, or whether it simply maintains your current conditions. You have within you right now everything you need to begin. You have the same 24 hours given to every person who's ever achieved greatness. You have the capacity to allocate just one of those hours to your most important growth. And you have the power to make that decision, not just today, but every day going forward. 1 hour consistently invested creates competence. Competence creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action sustained over time creates results that can astonish you and everyone around you. Start today. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances are perfect, not when you feel ready. Start today, imperfectly but decisively. Begin your hour with whatever resources you currently have, wherever you currently are. The decision you make in this moment may seem small. It's just 1 hour after all. But in that decision lies the seed of a transformed future. In that single hour each day lies the power to completely change your life. The hour is yours. What will you do with it? Let me share something powerful about your 1 hour investments. It creates a psychological phenomenon known as temporal landmarks. These are specific points in time that stand out in our minds and help us separate our current self from our past self. By establishing a daily 1 hour practice, you create a consistent landmark that signals to your brain. This is when transformation happens. Research from the University of Pennsylvania found that people who utilize temporal landmarks are significantly more likely to maintain long-term behavior change. Your daily hour becomes a reset button, a fresh opportunity regardless of what happened yesterday or what challenges await tomorrow. Another fascinating aspect of the 1 hour rule is how it creates what psychologists call boundary moments, transitions between different mental states that help compartmentalize your day. These boundaries are crucial for mental clarity and focus in our distraction-filled world. Your designated hour creates a clear boundary between ordinary activity and exceptional performance. I've worked with thousands of high achievers across 6 continents, and I've noticed something remarkable. Success leaves clues. When you study tremendously successful people across different fields, certain patterns emerge consistently. One of the most common is this deliberate allocation of time to high-value activities that others neglect. While average performers react to demands placed upon them, exceptional performers proactively protect time for activities that create long-term advantage. Consider how this principle applies to the development of expertise. Anders Ericsson's groundbreaking research on expert performance revealed that world-class mastery isn't primarily about talent, but about accumulated hours of deliberate practice. P, focused effort to improve specific aspects of performance with immediate feedback. 1 hour daily of such practice leads to approximately 365 hours annually. Nearly 10 full work weeks of deliberate improvement. This brings me to an important distinction. Your 1 hour should be spent in active creation, not passive consumption. Reading a book about business is good. Developing a business plan is better. Watching exercise videos has some value. Actually, exercising has transformative value. Consuming information about public speaking helps somewhat. Practicing delivery on camera creates real improvement. Always emphasize active application over passive absorption during your golden hour. Let's talk about what I call decision minimization. One reason the 1 hour rule works so powerfully is that it eliminates the need for daily decision-making about important activities. Each decision we make depletes our mental energy, what psychologists call decision fatigue. By pre-committing to your daily hour, you bypass the decision process that stops so many people from taking consistent action. You don't decide whether to invest your hour today. You've already decided once, and now you simply follow through. Activation energy. In chemistry, activation energy is the initial energy needed to start a reaction. In human behavior, it's the initial effort required to begin an activity. The 1 hour rule works because it lowers activation energy through consistency and habit formation. What initially requires significant willpower eventually becomes almost automatic, requiring minimal conscious effort to begin. I want to address something important. The relationship between your 1 hour practice and your existing obligations. Some worry that adding another commitment will overwhelm an already busy schedule. But I found something counterintuitive. Consistent personal development actually creates more time than it can. How is this possible? First, as you develop greater knowledge and skills, you complete tasks more efficiently. Second, improved clarity helps you eliminate low-value activities that previously consumed time. Third, increased energy from physical activity enables greater productivity during remaining hours. Finally, the confidence gained through consistent achievement creates boundaries that prevent others from consuming your time unnecessarily. Let me share a personal observation about the timing of your 1 hour. While I generally recommend early morning hours when willpower is highest, I've found that consistency matters more than specific timing. I've seen night owls thrive with evening sessions just as early risers benefit from morning routines. The key question isn't when is the perfect time, but rather when can I consistently protect this time regardless of circumstances. Another powerful aspect of the 1 hour rule is its ability to create what psychologists call flow states, periods of complete immersion in an activity where time seems to disappear and productivity multiplies. Research shows that most people require about 15-20 minutes to fully engage in deep work. This means in a typical distracted workday with interruptions every few minutes, they never reach optimal mental states. Your protected hour allows you to push through the initial resistance and experience the exponential productivity of flow. Consider also how your 1 hour commitment affects those around you. As you demonstrate the power of consistent investment through your results, you become a living example for family members, colleagues, and friends. I've seen entire organizations transform when key individuals implemented this principle and others witnessed the results. Your personal discipline creates a positive ripple effect that extends far beyond your individual achievements. Let's examine how the 1 hour rule interacts with major life transitions. Whether facing career changes, relationship adjustments, health challenges, or financial shifts, maintaining your daily hour provides stability amidst uncertainty. It becomes an anchor that keeps you centered regardless of external circumstances. Some of my clients report that their daily hour became especially crucial during life's most turbulent periods, providing structure when everything else seemed chaotic. I've also noticed a fascinating pattern in how the 1 hour rule affects goal achievement. When people commit to daily focused action, they tend to set more ambitious goals while simultaneously becoming more patient with the process. This paradoxical combination, higher aspirations paired with greater patience, creates ideal conditions for remarkable achievement. You aim higher precisely because you trust your consistent process. The 1 hour rule also creates what psychologists call implementation intentions, specific plans about when, where, and how you'll take action. Research consistently shows that implementation intentions dramatically increase follow-through compared to simple goal setting. By establishing exactly when and how your daily hour will unfold, you bypass the vagueness that derails most good intentions. Consistency compounds. Just as financial investments grow exponentially through compound interest, your personal development compounds through consistent daily investment. The difference between investing your hour 90 days versus 50 days isn't merely a numerical difference. It's the difference between transformative results and perpetual frustration. Your 1 hour commitment also creates a powerful identity shift. Psychologists have found that lasting behavior change happens not through willpower, but through identity evolution. When you move from "I want to exercise more" to "I'm someone who exercises daily," your actions naturally align with this new self-concept. Your daily hour reinforces your identity as someone who invests in themselves consistently, and this identity becomes self-sustaining. In closing this additional thought, consider what I call the legacy perspective. 5 years from now, looking back, will you regret investing 1 hour daily in your most important growth areas, or will you regret not having done so? The answer reveals everything about which decision serves your highest good. Choose today the path you'll be grateful for tomorrow. There's an aspect of the 1 hour rule that often goes unnoticed but proves incredibly powerful. Its effect on your subconscious mind. When you commit to daily focused action, you program your subconscious to continuously work on your goals, even when you're not actively engaged in your hour. Have you ever noticed how solutions suddenly appear while showering or walking? This happens because your subconscious continues processing your challenges in the background. Your daily hour sets this powerful mechanism in motion. It tells your brain, this goal matters. As a result, your mental resources automatically align toward achieving it. You'll notice relevant opportunities you previously missed. You'll retain information connected to your goal that previously would have been forgotten. You'll make connections between seemingly unrelated ideas. This subconscious activation creates what I call success synchronicity. Those moments when exactly what you need seems to appear at precisely the right time. What looks like luck to others is actually the natural result of programming your mind through consistent focus. Remember this, the quality of your life ultimately reflects the quality of your habits. By establishing this 1 hour habit, you create a foundation upon which extraordinary achievement becomes not just possible, but inevitable.